Do you suffer from the debilitating symptoms of chronic pain, swelling, and loss of joint motion due to arthritis? Are you taking drugs like Celebrex and Vioxx or other super aspirin prescriptions? If you are, you're increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke by up to 50%. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, host of Dr. Tom Roselle Live Sundays at 12 noon. Why live with pain or the dangerous side effects of drugs when the doctors at the Roselle Center for Healing, practicing 21st century integrative medicine, can help you experience relief like never before? Simple, safe, chiropractic, acupuncture, and nutritional care can provide significant relief from arthritic pain in less than 6 weeks. More than 70% of our patients experience a return to life far beyond their expectations. Give yourself the best gift possible, freedom from arthritic pain, naturally. Call today to schedule an appointment. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live, right now, on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Live in studio. It's a beautiful Labor Day outside, so I'm hoping that you're going to have picnic plans and you get together with friends and family and get out on the highways and byways, go to the mountains, go to the ocean, go to the river, and so forth. And guess what? After you listen to me. But if you're in the car, you can listen to me anyway. And if you're at your house, you can always go online, go to WMAL.com, listen live, and you can hear me no matter where you are, any place that you happen to be. It's a really great opportunity to catch up on all those things. And if you've missed any Dr. Tom Roselle Live programs, you can go to rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE.com. And they're all there for your listening pleasures. And by the way, if you go into Roselle Care, there's a tab called Dr. Tom Roselle. If you hit that, you can go into another website, which is very, very cool. It's set up with all kinds of things for you, learning interactive programs. You can listen to our in-house continuing education program. Not only listen, but actually watch them and watch our doctors present. And you can do it like for cheap. You know, it's like $4 a program. So give yourself the opportunity to do that. It's one of the better things that can come about. Anyway, I want to talk to you about something today, several somethings today, because so many of you are out there. And if you'd like to talk to me, all you have to do is call 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you on anything you have in mind. This is your program today. We're going to touch and tap and kind of coerce you and cajole you and push you, but I'd like to do it on your topics. So give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. 888-630-9625. There is a new website, and that's going to lead me into a celebration that some of you have talked about and know about. And you're going to see that if you go to Dr. Roselle or drtomroselle.com, or you go to Roselle Centerforhealing.com, you'll be able to find Caring for Others. And that is the new website that we're creating for our foundation. It's a foundation, by the way, many of you know about it, that I created in 1998. And why am I talking about it today? Well, it's really very simple. They're celebrating 15 years of existence in the Washington metropolitan area. Caring for Others was something that I had envisioned that would extend the work that we do in our practice. It would take it to people who are less fortunate than many of us, that are indigent, that are poor, that are living in states of poverty, that have no way of getting any kind of health care, let alone integrative natural health care from acupuncture, chiropractors, nutritionists, naturopaths, massage therapists, and so forth. So what we did is we set this up, and there's 3 pillars. The first pillar is to provide health care to these people. And we've been very fortunate because not only our doctors, but other doctors that are involved with us will donate their time and not charge anything for these services. The second thing is that we provide scholarship to individuals and to schools directly that have natural care programs. They have to be recognized and accredited programs like the National University of Health Sciences in Chicago, or the Life University, or the Midwest College of Oriental Medicine, or any of these schools that provide acupuncture, chiropractic, nutrition, massage therapy, But we donate directly to schools, and occasionally we provide scholarship directly to individuals. But what we require is an exchange. We ask them to give back to the community, and we do it. And the board of directors of Caring for Others does an extensive background investigation to make sure that they meet criteria and they're willing to step up to the plate. So Caring for Others is celebrating 15 years of being around and doing. And we've been fortunate because everything so far that comes in goes out. We don't spend it on administrative costs. We don't spend it on junk that other organizations do. And so what are we asking from you? Well, we're not asking for a whole lot of anything. We're just letting you know about it. And actually, we're going to celebrate this 15-year anniversary. It's a 501c3 charity, and we're celebrating this all the way through till I think it's September the 21st. And if you'd like to participate, here's a way that our office and other offices are helping you experience and find out whether or not chiropractic and acupuncture and nutrition is for you. You can first start by calling our office at 703-698-7117, 703-698-7117. And through September 21st, you have to complete the examination or the consultation by the 21st of September. So what this is all about is this. You call in and say, hey, listen, I'd like to come in to talk to one of the Roselle Center doctors, acupuncturists, so forth, to find out whether or not this is a fit for me. And all you need to do is make that appointment, and you will be asked to donate $49 to Caring for Others. And you will get a receipt for that $49 donation. Because it's a 501c3 charity, you can deduct it immediately off your taxes this year. So for $49, you get to talk to one of our docs, and they'll go through your history, and they'll they'll do a few preliminary tests to find out, and if it's warranted, to go into a full examination. Your choice at that point, and you'll schedule that at a later date. So all you need to do is call us 703-698-7117, 703-698-7117, and tell my staff that you would like to make an appointment for a conversation with one of our doctors. And you want to do it through the celebration of Caring for Others, which will end September 21st. So get that done today. We're really excited about this. It was something that was heartfelt when it was created years ago, and CFOs worked diligently over the years to provide these scholarships in natural health care services to people who can't. And the third pillar that I didn't tell you about is public information. And we get out and we lecture and we go to different organizations. And so, by the way, if you have an organization, you have a church, you have a club, you have a company, you have whatever, that you would like one of our doctors or one of the people that are associated with Caring for Others to do a presentation on integrative services, do that as well. Call us up, talk to Dareth Painter in my practice. Dareth heads that up, and she'll make that happen for you. It's an amazing opportunity. This year, Caring for Others, in conjunction with a very, very special grant from the Eugene B. Casey Foundation, was instrumental. They provided the funds for Ageless Health, the PBS special that was on television last fall. Actually, it was the end of October, November, and it was, by the way, nominated for 2 Emmy Awards, and we were very, very proud of it. And what it does, it portrays 6 patients who had failed through traditional allopathic care, who were totally turned around. These patients had MS and allergy reactions, anaphylaxis, a little boy who was just off-the-wall ADHD, and transient ischemic attacks were like mini strokes, and discogenic, meaning disc back pain that just failed through everything. So it was great. It was co-produced by SAS Productions. The principal there is Suyan Stacky-Wayne and myself. If you'd like to see the trailer, and it's still up, so you can go to drtomroselle.com and check it out. But we're proud of that production, and we're very grateful for everybody that was involved in it. And this year, Caring for Others will stretch its tentacles and begin to reach out to many different areas and to bring in people. So, by the way, if you'd like to volunteer and help us out, you can do that, too, by going to rosellecare@aol.com. That's rosellecare. Or go to our website, rosellecare.com, and just tell us that, you'd like to be involved, and we'll make that happen for you. So it's kind of a great time. By the way, I want to invite you. I personally would like to invite you to a picnic. That's right, a picnic. Our office the Roselle Center is going to have a fun day. And there's nothing we're asking for in exchange. Those of you who have been patients of ours, now this is for patients only, so otherwise we'll figure out how to incorporate something. But those of you who are patients, I'd like to invite you October the 13th from 12 to 4 p.m. at Lake Fairfax Park in Reston. We're going to have a day of just hanging out and having fun and playing games, our staff and you and so forth. And we want you to remember that we're there to serve, empower, and educate individuals on their path to extraordinary health. That's what we're all about. But this is a day of our giving back to you. There are going to be kids' games, there are going to be adult games, we're going to hang, we're going to talk, we're going to have a good time, and we're not going to sell you anything. It's all on us. We're going to provide it. It's 100% on us. But there's going to be a limit because we only have reservations for so many people. So if you'd like to take advantage of that, those of you who are patients, call 703-698-7117 and tell my staff that you're in. And we'll have a great time. We'll have fun. It's going to be a good day. It's really going to be an extraordinary day. Let's talk about things that are important other than this, because this is extremely important. But I want to talk to you about an article that was recently published, and something that I've been saying for a long time. And what that's about simply is this, that, you're told to go to your doc and get an annual checkup, what I call the thank you exam. They look in your eyes, look in your ears, they use a stethoscope to, check out your heart rate and, to see if there's any lumps or bumps, and they palpate and they check things out. Well, they tell you, conventional wisdom in the allopathic community tell you that annual checkups are an important part of a healthy lifestyle, that you really need to get this done on an annual basis. Well, you know what? There's always a different view, right? There's the contrary view. Well, the contrary view happens to be backed by some significant study, and a study that was done with 183,000 people. So it's not a small study. And what it says is that pure routine checkups may do more harm than they do good. You say, what? How come? How did that happen? Well, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's what's been put out there for a long time. It depends on the type of preventive checkup. You said, get your car checked up, go check your teeth out, go do all these things. Well, with all the data in, the whole hype about you can live longer and healthier lives just by having somebody look at you and so forth. Well, in the medical community, what do? They put you on drugs, right? And you know how that works. I mean, you've got all the side effects about drugs. Well, as it turns out, this widely held notion doesn't stand up to any kind of scientific scrutiny whatsoever. And, there was a study, and this is the one I'm pulling from. It's a new Danish research study that they found no evidence whatsoever that routine checkups increase longevity or reduce the risk of dying from disease process like cancer or heart disease or diabetes than not going at all. The findings are counterintuitive to what we would think, correct? I mean, you would think, got to go. The study aids to the growing amount of evidence that routine examinations in otherwise healthy adults are what? They're a waste of time and they're a waste of money. So, and they even lead to what's called overdiagnosis and unnecessary treatment. How many of you go into your doc's office and your blood pressure gets a little spiked up, gets a little high, and then your doctor says, well, you have high blood pressure, we have to put you on something like thiazide, which is a diuretic, or something else, Ativan to bring it down, right? Well, here's the problem. When you're home and you're okay, your blood pressure is like really normal and sometimes way low. And you get that white coat syndrome where you go in, you walk into the office, you've been, bouncing around like crazy, and guess what happens? Your blood pressure goes up. If you don't have about 10 minutes to sit there and relax, your blood pressure is going to go up. How many of your doctors take your blood pressure in 3 different positions? Not many, I would guess. We do with every patient because it's not, and I tell patients this, it's not the level of blood pressure when you first walk into my office. Is what happens when I take it sitting and lay you down and then stand you up. It's the shift, what happens in that blood pressure, that actually gives me some insight to what's taking place in your body. See, the problem is that preventive analysis doesn't work unless it's interpreted properly and in the right situation. And we're going to talk about that more. I'm going to talk more about this study when we come back from a break that we have to take right now. But the bottom line is that if you're going to your doc because you want the thank you examination, it doesn't necessarily show anything. There's very few docs out there that really do a great job, have the intuitive skills, they can, that they look for what they need to do. Coming up to break, we'll be right back. Don't go away. This is Dr. Tom Roselle.
Did you know that routine mammograms can increase radiation exposure to breast tissue 1,000 times over a chest X-ray? Now consider a simple, non-invasive, and totally safe medical procedure approved by the FDA since 1982 that can detect breast cancer 5 to 8 years before it can be visualized on a mammogram. Infrared thermographic imaging can accurately detect the initial signs of breast cancer as increased blood supply and metabolic rate, which is recorded as heat. Why expose yourself to radiation when accurate and safe medical detection is available? Call the Thermography Center of Fairfax to schedule a breast exam today at 703-948-7248. That's 703-943-7248. For more information, visit www.thermographyscan.net. That's thermographyscan.net for the Thermography Center of Fairfax.
The Roselle Center for Healing is a proud supporter of breast cancer awareness and reminds you to conduct a monthly breast self-examination and a thermographic breast scan as part of your annual wellness checkup.
This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 35 years of practice and almost 750,000 patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies, or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health today and order Health is a do-it-yourself program.
For more information and to order, please visit agelesshealthbook.com. That's agelesshealthbook.com.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. Yep, I'm in studio. It's Labor Day, and after this, I'm going to go meet my kids, and we're going to have some fun today, just like the rest of you are out in the highways and byways. But in the meantime, give me a call, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you on any subject that you have in mind. We've been talking about a couple things that are starting to hopefully stir you up a little bit. But I want to get back into that annual checkup thing, and then in the next half of the program, we're going to talk about some interesting things, but it has to do with mental capacity, and we're going to get back into that drug thing again, you know, the medicalization, if you will, and the pharmacology, or big pharma, what we call it. Well, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that and give you some options of things that you need to do. But anyway, on this examination that are really not necessary type of thing, this Danish study that we talked about that said that, you know, you actually are putting your health at risk by doing these examinations. The study adds that, you know, this growing number of evidential data that's coming back basically says don't do it because the information that you're getting is not the right information you need to protect yourself. This investigation was done by a person by the name of Krogsball, and they pulled data from 14 different studies, and they, as I said earlier, they were involving like 183,000 people, and they compared these participants to those who don't go to doctors except when they need to go. You know, my father used to say if you go to a doctor long enough, he'll find something wrong. Well, there's a lot of merit into that, and my illiterate grandmother, when she talked about medication, used to call it poison. She wasn't off the mark either. Experts in this area suspect that the reason for this counterintuitive idea is that people who generally need to see a doctor regularly, you know, and we think in our society they're older people and, you know, people who have chronic medical conditions, pain and infirmity of some sort, and people with family history of diseases, you know, whether it's diabetes or cancer, they go to the doctors to be treated. Now, this flies against some of the stuff that I believe anyway, simply because of the fact that there's other ways of doing it except being drugged to death. But this call for yearly physicals, you know, a lot of docs are going into these concierge practices now, and they tell you, well, we'll do an annual physical, we'll do this, we'll do that. Be cautious, be careful, because, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. So, you know, more is not always better. And there's a guy by the name of McAuley, as a physician. He's the editor of the British Medical Journal, who wrote an editorial that basically said, calling for systematic assembly line health checks consumes precious medical resources, the doctor's time, and unnecessary treatments and tests that could be better used elsewhere. Really? No kidding. I mean, that's been our focus for a long time. If you look at the structural, chemical, emotional triad, the triad of health that we talk about, and you understand that if you keep yourself fit, you watch your dietary patterns, and you learn how to handle the slings and arrows of stress, so much more can be done. You know, you come to our office, and we encourage our patients to come in several times a year to get checked. How do they get checked? Well, we can check many different things. We check the energy pathways within the body from the acupuncture system to see if they're in balance or if they're not in balance. That gives you a clue that the body's not working the way it's supposed to. It's not a situation that can be altered from stress. We take a look at structural strength and neurological strength. We look at your nutritional patterns, and we tweak those things, and we try to get them in a place of equilibrium so your body can do what it needs to do. See, here's the interesting thing. The body doesn't need any help. It just doesn't need interference. And if you take away the interference in so many things, life gets better. But think about it the next time you go into a doctor's office and you're complaining of being tired, you're fatigued, you got a dull headache. Why don't you try something really simple? What's that? Water? You know, if most of you are dehydrated, you don't drink anywhere near enough water. You drink your coffee, your teas, your sodas, and you forget to put the water back in. You don't stretch, you don't walk. You don't do the things you need to do. You're constantly being exposed today to GMO food. So why don't you do your own physical checkup? What do I mean by that? Check to see what you're doing environmentally. Check to see if you're eating properly and what you can do to make it better. See if you're doing any kind of exercise. Just walk. You know, I've told you many times that if you walk 2 miles every day, and now we're not talking about speed here, we're just talking walking 2 miles, you decrease your risk of dying from any disease process by 50%. Go for a walk after dinner. Put your headset on. Go listen to some music. Go for a nice, easy stroll. Go out for about 40 minutes. Come back home. Okay? I mean, it's simple. You have the resources to be able to turn yourself around if you choose to turn yourself around. But if you choose not to, then obviously you're going to have problems, and you're going to be in that place where you're going to be forced to make a decision. And if you don't have the mental capacity to make the right decision, then you're in trouble. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. So next time you say, I think I need to go in and get my blood pressure checked, or I need to go see my doctor, or whatever, you think twice, but make sure you're going to somebody who understands functional medicine, the functional capacity of the body. Coming up to the news and some very important information. When we come back, we're going to talk about drugs, medicalization, and pharmacy. Don't go away. I'll be right back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I'm in studio. It is Labor Day weekend. However, you need to listen to me first, then go play. Or if you're in the car or any place else on any kind of, able to listen to me type of device, make sure you're listening, and then go play, right? Anyway, I'd love to talk to you today. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625 on any subject that you have in mind. I've got a couple updates for you, as they say. We're going to talk a little bit about stress and anxiety. We're going to talk a little bit about drugs. But I want to remind you again that you need to do a couple things. First, you need to make sure that if you've been putting off talking to one of my docs, that you take advantage of an opportunity between now and September the 21st. Because what are we doing? We're celebrating 15 years of community service by Caring for Others, the foundation that we started in 1998. This is an organization that is amazing. They help the indigent. They provide scholarship. They provide public information. So how we're cooperating with them is simply by doing this. If you'd like to come in to talk to one of my doctors, just a conversation with a typical medical consultation, kind of go over your condition to see if this is a fit, see if it works for you. All we're asking you to do is call our office, 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. Tell my staff that you'd like to schedule a consultation with one of my practitioners for a $49 donation to Caring for Others. And Caring for Others is a 501c3, so you get to write it off completely, 100%. So $49 caring for others. In exchange, my doctors are providing their time at absolutely no other charge, and you have no obligation whatsoever to sit down and talk to them, talk about your problem, your primary concern, and see if this form of health care is something that you should be taking advantage of. 703-698-7117, Caring for Others, celebrating 15 years of community service. It's a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. All you need to do is make that phone call. We'd love to be of service to you, and we'd love to have you help us help them. Let's talk a little bit about something that kind of tweaks my chain, but then those of you know me, there's a lot of things that tweak my chain. And we're going to talk about drugs, medicalization, they say, and pharmacacy. So what does that mean? That means, we can get back on the bandwagon that there's a whole lot of stuff that is being purported that ain't so, my friends. Well, interesting article by a guy by the name of Dr. Christopher Kent. And this guy's an attorney, he's a chiropractor, he's got all kinds of credentials. And he said the Board of Trustees of the American Psychiatric Association, interesting article, by the way, approved the 5th edition of something called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And if you want to look it up, it's just simply DSM-V. And the first edition of the DSM-1 was published in 1952, and it featured descriptions of, I think, something in the neighborhood of about 100 and so disorders. And then DSM-2 published in 1968, and then it goes on and on and on and on. So all of a sudden now they have over 300 disorders plus. And so why the explosion from 106 to way in excess of 300? Why the explosion in the number of mental health conditions, in this last half a century, basically? That's not that long, right? Well, is it a scientific breakthrough? I don't think so. Rather, it's the medicalization, and I agree with his statement, of the American society. Actually, it's the drugging, if you will, of the American society. There's a psychiatrist out there that I hold tremendous respect for. His name is Thomas Cesar, and he's written extensively on the topic. And, he's written on precisely the medicalization is a process or a tendency whereby the phenomena that originally belonged to another field, such as education, law, religion, and so on, are redefined as medical phenomena. Isn't that interesting? Let me read that again to you. It simply says the medicalization is a process or tendency whereby phenomena that originally belonged to another field, such as education, law, religion, and so on, are redefined as medical phenomena. The medicalization thought process, the process by which the medical profession, the allopathic profession, asserts authority over the sphere of life of a previously overseen guardian in other fields. Basically, that's what's taking place. So you have the emergence of a therapeutic state, if you will. It's a product of this 20th century situation. It's craziness. But from 1776... ring a bell, to 1914, the federal government played no role in civilian medicine. And then 1914, the first anti-narcotic legislation was enacted, and as the century progressed, the government's role got deeper and exploded, and I want you to be aware of some facts. In 1950, funding for the National Institute of Mental Health was less than $1 million. In 1992, now remember, this is 40 years later, in 1992, funding for the National Institute of Mental Health has reached in excess of $1 billion. That's with a B, $1 billion. That's from 1 million to 1 billion. In 1965, when Medicare and Medicaid were enacted, their cost was approximately $65 billion. And that's 1965. So what happens? Time goes on, and then we go to 1993, which is less than 30 years later. It goes up to $939 billion. And between 1960 and 1998, the average annual public expenditure on health care increased more than 100 times, from $35 to $3,633. Now, if you're not sitting back there with your mouth open and saying, oh my God, what's this all about, then you're dead. You're numb. You just, there's nothing going on in your brain. In addition to the expenditures that we just talked about, the government spending in general increased during that period of time. Budget of $13.6 billion in fiscal year 1941 to $1.65 trillion in 1998. Now, we all know what's happening, right? We're watching it all the time. All the talking heads tell us about it and so forth. But if you go and you read this guy, this MD, this psychiatrist by the name of Thomas Cesar, one of his greatest insights, if you will, into this description of the process whereby coercion is transferred into medical therapy is simply this. You can kind of outline them. The subject's condition, by the way, is diagnosed as a disease. Now, it's not his disease that is a condition that's affecting him, but his condition is diagnosed as a disease. Interesting. The intervention imposed is defined as treatment. So now they put it into a healthcare situation, and legislators and judges ratify these categories as diseases and then treatments. Do you follow the thread here? Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's taking place? It's awful. It's a craziness. The traditional role of public health measures was really there to deal with transmission of communicable diseases. And then all of a sudden, we've gone into this mental health situation. The medicalizations include, all kinds of diverse situations. And gambling is one of them, and, smoking's another, and gun violence and racism. All these things are medical conditions now. Racism, gun violence, they're medical conditions. Coercion is used not merely to isolate with communicable diseases and so forth, but also to force treatment on people, who have all kinds of things, from tuberculosis to alcoholism to plethora of other types of mental problems. And all they have to do is say that it's deemed as a threat to themselves or somebody else, to themselves. Where did, they want to screw up and destroy their bodies? That's one thing. It's like, what happened to you can do what you want to do until it affects the other person? I don't know. Maybe that's just my thought process. You have to put me aside. I'm kind of archaic when it comes to those things. But nevertheless, the biggest problem, in my viewpoint here, are children, and they're particularly susceptible to being, their families and children are being coerced into medical intervention. And they range from vaccinations, and by the way, in a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, Dr. Jennifer Sims will be on the program on Dr. Tom Roselle Live, and we're going to be talking about just that subject. We're going to be talking about vaccinations, and make sure you pay attention, tell your friends about that, because you want to hear somebody get jacked up about vaccination. This is a lady that you got to hear, and then she's going to be doing her program as well. But from vaccinations to behavior modifying drugs, we all know that schools now are getting funding for as many kids as that they can diagnose with ADD and ADHD. It's craziness, but it's the truth. It happens to be what it is. Even when parents elect a different course of health care, you decide, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I want to change my kid's diet. I want to see a chiropractor. I want to see an acupuncturist. I want to do whatever. The courts are stepping in, and the courts are saying that even when a parent elects a different course of care, that the courts can decide whether it's dangerous treatment. And against the wishes of the parents and the family dynamics and their religion and so forth, can say, no, they're going to be drugged and have forced medical intervention on many kids. There was a case in Maryland just 3 years ago. It's craziness. It's craziness. So who knows where all this is leading to, but if you don't take action, if you don't get outraged by this, if you don't get cranked up at least, 50% of what I am right now, we're going to be led down a trail that's irreversible. If you have difficulty sleeping after drinking coffee, the problem isn't that the product of your judgment in guzzling the coffee, before you're retiring, you're just a victim of caffeine-induced sleep disorder. Interesting, right? And there's a diagnosis for that. It's called, I'll give it to you. It's called 292.89. It's an ICD code. And there's another code that goes with it. It's F like Frank 15.8. Look it up. It's crazy. All right. And if you if you reflect on your shyness while tossing and turning, the problem could be epidemic. And go to 300.23. And social phobia, you're kind of shy, right? Frank 40.1. But don't worry about it. There's drugs for that. There's an app for that. There's a drug for that. And there's more and more drugs for that. Right. Let's go to the phones. Dan, how can I help you? Thank you for calling.
My doctor told me to have take care of my cataract, to have an eye operation to replace the lens. Is there alternative care answer to that?
It depends on how progressed the cataract is. If it's in the early stages, there are very specific vitamins and nutrients that you can use. Lutein is one of them, using certain levels of beta-carotene. There are other enzymes and so forth that will help. But if it's progressed where it's really affected your vision and you don't have, based on your age and so forth and how much time you have to reverse this, then cataract surgery today is so refined, and coming out of my mouth, that's kind of an interesting situation because these guys can do some amazing work. Particularly, my wife had cataract surgery, but she had a central focus cataract that she couldn't see around. And with all the stuff that we did, we got it better, but I couldn't get rid of it completely, and it was due to sun damage. Now, there's a lot of things that are coming out on the horizon from laser surgeries that are looking at being able to reverse this stuff. But for right now, depending on your age, I wouldn't be too fearful of it because if your health is good and you stand, it's an outpatient basis. You're out in about 2 hours. It's truly not a big deal. So, Dan, I wish I could tell you that, but if you'd like to have the specific nutrients, I'll make them available to you. All you got to do is get a hold of me at rosellcare.com. Send me a note, and I will tell you specifically what it is that you need to take. Dan, thanks for your phone call. I appreciate it. Cataracts is one of those things that if you catch it early enough, there's a lot that you can do, but if it's in the late stages or it's a real dense occlusion, due to damage to the lens, then you're probably better off doing the surgery. We'll be right back after some very important messages. Listen to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 35 years of practice and almost 750,000 patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies, or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellcare.com. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health today and order Health is a do-it-yourself program.
For more information and to order, please visit agelesshealthbook.com. That's agelesshealthbook.com.
If you're looking for the best in natural health, wellness, and green living products, shop the Roselle Web Store on Amazon.com. You'll find a variety of products and resources that are designed to help achieve an ultimate state of health and wellness. Shop the Roselle Web Store on Amazon.com today. Visit drtomroselle.com and click on Roselle Web Store. That's drtomroselle.com and click on Roselle Web Store.
Educate, engage, empower. Take control of your health with Dr. Tom Roselle and the Roselle Center for Healing. Information is power. Achieve an ultimate state of wellness with Dr. Tom Roselle's Education Lecture Series Video on Demand. Discover how to create an extraordinary life of optimal health and wellness. Visit drtomroselle.com/education. That's drtomroselle.com/education.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You've been listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We have been in studio. It's been a very interesting day. Hopefully I've irritated you a little bit so you can go out and complain and investigate and do it. By the way, that's what I do this program for. See, I've always told you, don't believe anybody, including me. Do your homework. That's why I want to continue the process of education for all of us, because otherwise we're sitting ducks. We're the guys that are going to be taken advantage of, and I don't want that to happen to any of us, no matter what. Take control of your own health. And matter of fact, if you really like to get that done, buy my book, Health is a Do-It-Yourself Program, Ageless Health. Go online. You can buy it off our website at drtomrosell.com. You can go to Amazon and find it there. You can download it with the audio version. You can do a lot of different things, but you should own it. And if you don't own it, shame on you. Go ahead and get it. Listen, I want to continue just for a short period of time on some of these drug-induced diagnoses. Now I said drug-induced, right? There's a diagnosis. If you have a child, if your child is ill-behaving and he may be suffering or she may be suffering for something called oppositional defiant disorder. Yep, there's a diagnosis for that. ICD code is 313.81 or Frank 91.3. If your child often argues with adults and loses their temper and gets mad and stamps their feet and so forth, there's a diagnosis for that as well, and it's called 312.8. It's called conduct disorder, or disruptive behavior disorder is Frank 91.8 and 312.9. I'm not going to go on because I'm going to get irritated, and it's almost the end of the program, so I don't want to get mad. The situation is pretty much as it appears, right? It's big pharma with their fingers in the pot with a drug that's looking for a diagnosis. So if they provide a diagnosis for the drug that they have, they get to use it, and they get to use it and make really big money. Then all they have to do is, convince the government to intervene, force your hand into it, and make sure that you're taking the drug, and then make it beneficial, use subsidies to get people to coerce you, like when your children are in school and the children have to take medications, right? Well, there's a lot that's happening. We've got a couple more calls, and I'm not going to be able to get to them. But if you go to drtomrosell.com and send me a note, I'll be more than happy to answer that for you very specifically and very fully. The problem in the healthcare arena today is that we're looking for somebody else to fix it. We're looking for somebody else to do it to us instead of taking control of our own health. I want you to make a decision. Your children are starting school this week. Your grandchildren are starting school this week. Your nieces and nephews are starting school this week. Get involved. Find out what's being said to them. Find out the educational process that they're going through and what they're being told. I have grandchildren and I have godchildren and so forth, and my kids are grown now and they've, began to contribute to the world's population. But I get involved and they get to hear my opinion. They need your opinion as well. Don't sit back and do absolutely nothing. Get involved. Step up. Tell people, what they can do and what they can't do. Don't let them tell you what you should be doing, because otherwise all of us are going to be drugged moving forward. I'm here every Sunday at 12 noon, bringing you the most intimate and updated information on integrative care. I'll be here next week. My guest, Dr. Leonard Poe. Don't go away. This is Dr. Tom Rosell.
Are you dental phobic? Do you neglect your dental health because of fear and anxiety? A beautiful smile begins with exceptional dental care, and you can trust in the expertise of Soft Touch Dental Care and Dr. Michael Chung. Soft Touch Dental Care is unlike any dentist office you'll ever experience. Their warm and welcoming environment is designed to soothe fears and anxiety the moment you arrive, and they're especially pleased to pamper their honored guest patients. Dr. Michael Chung is a professional and leading expert in all areas of comprehensive dentistry, including cosmetic, sedation, neuromuscular, TMJ, and implant dentistry. Offering state-of-the-art technology, Dr. Chung can give you the smile of your dreams. Arrange for a complimentary consultation today with Dr. Michael Chung and experience the expertise that makes Dr. Michael Chung so unique. Call 703-319-6990. That's 703-319-6990. Or visit bestinsmile.com. That's bestinsmile.com.